They domesticated dogs. So they went into agriculture. And this is the pre-Columbian era. That is before pre-Columbian means before. Let me put up something. When we say pre-Columbian, pre-Columbian means before the arrival of Christopher Columbus, right? No, this is the English spelling of his name, but he has the Spanish spelling will be different. So Christopher Columbus was an explorer and a representative of the Spanish crown, meaning that a representative of the king of Spain. So he conquered those lands for the king and queen of Spain. So who were these people who lived there first? The Olmecs. These were the first set of people to live in that region, the Olmec. So we have the Olmec, sorry. So we have the Olmec people. Olmec. They were the first of the civilization to live in the region. They were called the rubber people. Why are they called rubber people? Because what? Rubber grows in that region, right? When I say rubber trees, right? Rubber trees grow in that region. And we know from rubber trees, what do you get? Rubber that we make tires, balls, and other things, right? From rubber. So that region, rubber trees. So they flourished during Mesoamerica's formative period, dating from early 1500 BCE to about 400 BCE. So the Olmec people. And this is where they lived. This region here. Right, the Olmec people. This is where they occupied. These were their cities. Tres Zapatos. Right? San Lorenzo. La Venta. All these places that they lived. So they lived in cities, and again, we could prove that. So the Olmec, right? This is again the same map we have on the PowerPoint. This is where they live, and these are the places that they built. This is in San Lorenzo. This is what is left. This is what archaeologists found, and it is still standing today. So you notice they could build out. There were people who knew how to build. So that tells us that these people were highly advanced. They were not uncivilized. This is what archaeologists found. Right? These are temples that they built in Tres Zapatos. So, right? This is another map of the region. So all these are things that they built. So they were not ignorant people, right? And this is what they left us. This is what was they left. So the Olmec history, you have the formation stage, the beginning of the Olmec society. Then you had the integration stage where they began to integrate. Then you had the expansion stage. And the last stage was disintegration. Disintegration means that for some reason, the Olmec civilization vanished. It just vanished. So you have 4 stages of their history. Formation, 1700 to 1300 BC. Then you had 1300 BC to 900 BC, then 900 BC to 300 BC. And by 200 AD, they disappeared for some reason. Why are the Olmecs so important? First, they used and perhaps developed many things culturally and religiously that were later used by the Mayans and Aztecs and many other cultures. Carved stone, jade. Second, they had a wide influence in their day, which gives us reason to believe that they were responsible for spreading some of these ideas. They were early adopters of the complex religious system. They developed a calendar, they knew astronomy, and they had a ritual ball game. So even though they disappeared, they laid the foundation for the Mayans and the Aztecs to follow. Right, and this is where they lived in San Lorenzo. And this is what archaeologists discovered. Up to 124 stone sculptures have been discovered. And it is suspected that many more remain buried. And this is what they found. The Olmecs. This is what they left. And this is what, remember, they call them the Jaguar people because they worship the jaguar. They were called the Jaguar people. Anybody know it's a jaguar? It's an animal, right? And again, this is the Zapato, this is measurement, this is what they left. So the Olmecs. So if we want to know more about the Olmecs, let's go to our favorite website. So the Olmec. So you can click on this one here, Olmec civilization, and everything comes up about the Olmec. The Olmec civilization. Everything is here for you. See, the same map we are using in the PowerPoint. This is your map. This is where they lived. These are the cities that they lived in. And this is the Olmec head. So everything you want to know about the Olmecs. And then you can read this one here. Olmec colossal stone heads. And it, right? One scholar argued that these features are Africanized features. And he wrote a book, They Came Before Columbus. So some people have speculated that they came from Africa, but it is not proven, right? So these are the Olmec civilization. So they are the forerunners to this civilization, the Maya. So the second civilization that will be formed in the Americas, sorry, it's the Maya civilization. And this is where, again, this is Maya people. These are their cities here that they built. Oh, everything in red on the map, all this is part of the Maya civilization. So this is in Central America, places like Honduras, Belize, Guatemala, the Maya civilization. So there are three periods of the Maya civilization: the pre-classical period, the classical period, and the colonial period. The colonial period means at this period here, these people, the Spanish conquered these people. They were conquered by the Spanish. That is what I mean by the colonial period. The Spanish conquered this region. The classical period refers to the height of the civilization. The classical period refers to the height of the civilization. And the pre-classical period refers to the beginning of the civilization. So they were ruled by a king, right? So we could put up here Maya. We could talk about location. Where were they located, right? We have they had a government, and we know that they were ruled by a what? A king. And this is Mayan art. Their favorite color was blue, Maya blue. So they developed murals, pottery, and sculptures. So they were engaged in art. They were also engaged in what? This is your art here also, depicting their peoples. So again, this tells us that they were not uncivilized. And this is the architecture. They left pyramids, and they left drawings on caves. So we can say that they were also engaged in architecture. They built. Now, is it possible? I'm just throwing that out here. Is it possible? Where did we see pyramids? In ancient Egypt, in Nubia, right? So is it possible? It's a possibility, just arguing. Is there a possibility that African peoples came to this part of the world? We don't know. Because the pyramids in Egypt and the pyramids in Nubia, it's a possibility. We don't know. We don't want to speculate. Look at right. So this is a pyramid that they built. Right? And we saw pyramids like this before. Right? This is still standing. This has become a tourist attraction. This is in Guatemala, in Tikal, one of their cities. It is in ruins, but this is what is left of it. And today, the government there, they're using GPS because a lot of those places are rainforests, so they're using GPS to try to find these things today. GPS from the sky, they're trying to locate them because there are many more that they have not found. So this is in Tikal, Guatemala. So the Mayans, they had a writing system. And look at this here. They use phonetic symbols and logograms. And they developed 10,000 individual texts. 10,000. And they produce the text painted on a form of paper manufactured from processed bark tree. So, like other civilizations, they were not uncivilized. So we can say they had what? They had writing. And the writing was based on what? Where did we see logographic? Logograms. Right? So they were well organized. And this is their writing here. This is what is in a museum. A page on the Paris Codex, one of the few known surviving Mayan books in existence. So they develop a book. So the Mayan civilization. Again, how do we know that these people existed? So this is the Maya civilization here. So they had a religion. So you can read all these three: Maya religion, Maya government, Maya civilization. Right? So you have a whole set of things here to read about the Maya civilization. So they practiced polytheism. So we know that they had a religion. So again, okay, my mistake. If you go to the Maya civilization here, Maya civilization, you click on this one and it comes up. This is their civilization. The origins, again, the map we are using in the PowerPoint. And it gives you a breakdown, you see, of their temples, their culture. This is what was left, the ruins. Their writings, Mayan hieroglyphics. Hieroglyphics. Where did we see hieroglyphics? In ancient Egypt. Is it possible? that Egyptians came to America? We don't know. So you have hieroglyphics, right? They develop a calendar. Again, we can look at, you can click on this one here, Mayan government, the government, and you'll see how they were ruled, right? They had an economy. And you can read this one here too, on Maya religion, their religion. So in ancient EU, you have three things to read: religion, government, and civilization. Just read these three here. 1, 2, 3. So the Maya. Another civilization that came into being after the Maya was the Aztec civilization. The Aztecs. Aztec civilization. And this is the region here, the Aztecs. So they were in Mexico, principally Mexico, the Aztec civilization. The Aztec people were controlled primarily by a political body called the Triple Alliance. So you had three groups of people who formed the Aztecs. The Aconcagua people, the Mexica, and the Tepanica. So these three groups of people formed the Aztecs Empire. So the city, one of the largest cities, was called Tenochtitlan. Tenochtitlan, that was the largest city. And they were military people. Now they had overall, there was an emperor, but you had local government would remain in place, but would be forced to pay varied amounts of tribute to the Triple Alliance. So you had an emperor, and under the emperor, you had local rulers who will collect the tribute for the Triple Alliance. Because remember, they were conquering people who will conquer other people, and when you get conquered, you have to pay tribute in the form of labor, money, or agricultural produce. This is just a trivia. It was against the law. Look at this. It was against the law to be drunk in public in the Aztec Empire unless you were 70 years old. So they had laws. Look at this one. Each Aztec home had a steam bath. So that tells us the new engineering. It is said that the major Aztec weapon could chop off the head of a horse with one blow. That's to tell you how sharp that weapon was. And this is Aztec art. You see, gold. There was a lot of gold in that region. And these are Aztec temples. So at the Aztecs again, location, they had a government, they had laws, religion, they were right, because they built temples. So the temples were places where they worship and prayed and made right their temples. And this is what is found. And on this year, they used to practice sacrifice, and they sacrifice children. Right? They were engaged in sacrifice. So the Aztecs. So the three major civilizations to be found in Central America, the Olmecs, the first, the Maya, and the Aztecs. Let me go to another PowerPoint. All right, so let's look at this other PowerPoint here. Maya, Aztecs, and the Inca. This is where these three people, this is Mesoamerica. Mexico plus Central America is referred to as Mesoamerica. Again, the Americas is North, Central, South America, including the Caribbean. That is the Americas. What we'll call the New World. This was called the New World because this world, the Europeans did not know about this world. And when they came here, they took control of it. And then other groups like the English came, the French, the Dutch, right, came and took control of the New World. So Mesoamerica, some of the greatest civilization in the Americas developed in Mesoamerica. The Mayan Aztecs lived in the Mesoamerican region. How did they get to the Americas? The first theory is they crossed the Bering Land Bridge. Humans migrated into North America from Asia by crossing over a land bridge between Alaska and Siberia during what we call the Ice Age. And this is it here. They came down from here and they came right down into the Americas. Right? This is a body of water. This is land. Right? This was land 20,000 years ago. And so this is a possible theory. This is one theory. A second theory is coastal migration. Humans migrated to Americas by crossing the seas, most likely the Pacific Ocean, and settling along the western coast of the Americas. So that's a second theory. Now, let me show you a third one. I want you to go to YouTube. Go to YouTube. And when you get chance, you don't have to do it today. But when you get time, go to YouTube. When you go to YouTube, when you go to YouTube, type in the first American. Let's see, first American. And this one here, tracking the first American ancient voices. Watch this one and compare it to the two other theories. This one tells us that what they discovered on the paintings of caves were African people. That African people, and this is a BBC documentary, that African people migrated from Africa to Australia and then to the Americas. So that's a third theory, from Africa to Australia to the Americas. And when you look at this, watch it carefully. If you have time, watch it tonight, and we can have a discussion. Right? You don't have to accept it. This was done 7 years ago by the BBC, the British Broadcasting Corporation. They did this documentary, and when they looked at the rock paintings, what they saw at first, they saw two groups of people, and they thought that the two groups of people were playing with each other. But on further investigation, they saw one group killing another group. So the Amerindian group that came from the Bering Strait, they began to kill out the African people, because they found dead bodies and they put it in. So when you watch it, tell me how you feel about the three theories. So again, the three theories, this is the first theory. The Bering Strait, they came from Asia and they came down. The second theory is, the second theory is coastal migration. They migrated by crossing the seas through the Pacific Ocean. And the BBC talks about this because to get into from Australia to the Americas, you have to come through the Pacific Ocean. So take a look at it. So where did the Maya people live? The Mayans settled in the Yucatan Peninsula in Central America. This is the Yucatan Peninsula. So let me see if I can pull up a better map for you. Picture of the Yucatan Peninsula. So what's a peninsula? This is a peninsula here. It's a jut of land that comes out into the sea, right? This is it here. Yucatan, it's a jut of land. It is close to the sea. So the Yucatan Peninsula, right? Look at it here. This is the Yucatan Peninsula. Mexico here, Along all here, this is the peninsula. It comes out into the sea, Yucatan. All right. The Canada, right? This is the Yucatan. Let's see again, Yucatan Peninsula. It comes out in the, all right, Cancun. We go to Cancun. This is, so when in Cancun, you're on the Yucatan Peninsula. This is Belize here. This is Guatemala, Honduras. All this is Central America. Right? Cuba is in the Caribbean, right? This is the Gulf of Mexico and the United States here. So the Yucatan. So they lived in the Yucatan Peninsula. Right? This is where they occupy the Mayan civilization. All those little triangles are cities that they built. So they knew about architecture. They built towering temples and palaces. What do we mean by towering? Very, very elaborate, tall structures. They practiced their religion. You see the tall, towering structures, they had their religion. They were polytheistic. They practiced human sacrifice. They were polytheistic people. So, and this is what they found in these regions. These are ruins of those temples. And today, many of these things were covered by what we call rainforests. Because if you go to Guatemala, Honduras, Belize, there's a lot of rainforest there. You can get lost in those places and they'll never find you if you're lost. And you'll be eaten alive by big snakes, jaguars, and other dangerous animals. Because you're dealing with rainforests. Right? But see how this is rainforest here? It was covered in rainforest. And to find them, they use GPS. Right? So these things are still there. So that tells us how much more they're still looking for. So they created a writing system of hieroglyphics. Again, we saw hieroglyphics in ancient Egypt. Is it possible? Was it possible that African people came there and used hieroglyphics? It's a debate. It's up for debate. If we study the 3 patterns of migration, it's debatable. Is it possible? We don't know. Do we have enough evidence to say concretely that African people live here? It's up for debate. And they develop numericals, and they develop a 365-day calendar. And they develop numericals. You see, they are numericals. This is their system of the calendar. So they were not illiterate people, they were highly advanced people. What happened to the mayor? What happened to them? The mayor abandoned many of the cities around 900 AD. Archaeologists do not know why. The theory is that there was a severe drought and many people died to starvation and migrated. That is one of the theories. And these are the ancestors of the mayor today. There are 2 million of them living in Guatemala and southern Mexico. If you go to Guatemala and southern Mexico, you'll find them there. So when you get to ancient, go back to ancient EU, and you can read up on, right? Religion, government, and read these three: civilization, government, and religion. So you'll get a lot of information for your research when you have to write for your final exam based on the terms. So the next civilization were the Aztecs. So where did the Aztecs live? The Aztecs live in what is now known as the Valley of Mexico in central Mexico. Central Mexico, this is where they live. So this, the Aztec civilization spread from here all the way back here. And they had a legend. The legend. What was their legend? Right? They were told that to look for an eagle holding a snake on top of cactus. Remember? And this is it here. An eagle holding a snake on top of cactus. And that is where you're going to build your city. Whether or not it is true, we don't know. But they built their main city on a swamp, as a lake, on a swampy island in Lake Texcoco. That is where they built their city, on a swamp in Lake Texcoco. And again, if you go to Mexico, part of Mexico, this is what you will see. So how did the Aztecs build a city in the center of a lake? How did they do that? So the city of Tenochtitlan was built on an island. It was connected to the mainland by causeways leading north, south, and west of the city. The city was interlaced with a series of canals so that all sections of the city can be visited either on foot or by canoe. Anybody here has been to New York City from where I live?
Yes.
All right. So let me show you what New York City, a picture of New York City. And you'll see what I'm talking about. A picture of the 5 boroughs all right, so you can find something. So this is New York City, the Big Apple. This is Brooklyn, Queens. This is what we call part of Long Island. Manhattan, I lived in Manhattan at one time. And Manhattan is an island on the Hudson River. And this is the Bronx. The Bronx is on the mainland of New York, but it is part of the city. How is the city connected? Like this is a bridge. This is the Brooklyn Bridge. And then you have the Queens Bridge. And you have underground tunnels where the trains run to get to Manhattan. And then you have the train go to the Bronx. When I live in Manhattan, I could have taken the #1 train on this side of the Hudson and go to the Bronx. This is the East River. This is the Hudson River. So it's islands connected by causeways and tunnels. So these people, so this is not new. These people knew, sorry, my mistake. These people knew how to construct. So to do that, you have to know engineering. So they were very good engineers. So don't let anybody fool you and tell you that these people were uncivilized. And this is what it looked like. This is Tenochtitlan is Mexico City today. Mexico, right? You see how Mexico City has spread? This is how it started off like. They built it on a lake. And this is what Mexico's, right? Today, Tenochtitlan is Mexico City. So over time, over centuries, they expand. So these people knew engineering. And now they had a government. So they were conquering other people and expanding their territory. And when you got conquered, you had to pay a tribute to the Aztecs. And his main job was to lead the people in war. They created their religion. So they practiced what we call polytheism. And they built, as we say, massive temples and pyramids. And this is what they formed. There's the pyramid of the sun and the pyramid of the moon. And they engage in human sacrifice. And eventually, they were conquered by the Spanish. Hernan Cortes conquered Tenochtitlan and they defeated the Aztecs in 1521. And this woman here, sorry, this picture here, this woman, she was an Aztec woman, and she and Cortes became lovers. They had a son, and she told them all his secret. So the Aztecs. So the other empire that we will come to is called the Inca Empire. The Inca. So on Mesoamerica, you had what? One, the first empire was the Olmec Empire. Then the other empire was the Maya Empire. Then we came to the Aztecs Empire. the Aztec Empire. And then we have the fourth one is the Inca. So 4 major empires existed in Mesoamerica. So we have different peoples. Meso. You had different ethnic groups. Just as we talk about Mesopotamia, Mesoamerica, yeah. So the different ethnic groups, they are the Olmec, the Maya, the Aztec, and the Inca. Those 4 groups of people at one point in time and during different historical periods or times ruled, dominated Mesoamerica. And the last group was the Inca. These are the ruins. Where was the Inca Empire located? The Inca Empire was located in modern-day Peru. Where's Peru? So Peru. This is Peru here. And you see, this is what the Mayans, this is left for what the Mayans developed. These people live high up in it. This is the Andes mountain. And to get there, this is how they travel. They use llamas. Right? You're high above. So the llamas are, these animals are help people in their travel. So the Inca, where did they live? The Inca controlled an empire in the Andes mountain region of South America. The Andes mountain region. And it is in Peru. They had a government, and this is the government. The head of the Sapa Inca was the emperor, and he had absolute power. He claimed to be the son of the sun. He was the head also of the religion. Where did we see this before? Ancient Egypt. And the empire was divided into 4 regions with a capital at Cusco. And how did they unite the empire? The Inca built a massive road network through mountains and across rivers and gorges. You see, this is a gorge, and you'll be crossing a rope bridge. Right? So again, to do this, you have to know about engineering. And these were the stones. They used stones without using mortar. They fitted these stones together, and some masons today do this, use these stones, interlocking stones. So again, they were very good the new masonry. In addition to engineering, this is masonry. We call this masonry work. They had a religion. They were polytheistic. And they had their religion. Again, they practice polytheism. They believe in reincarnation, and they try to make their heads very small by trying to deform their heads. They knew about medical advances. In terms of the organized communities, they were organized into family. Each family in the community was assigned a specific job. So we call this division of labor. Government officials arranged marriages, and the government organized mandatory public service building projects. What happened to the Inca? Two things happened. Civil war broke out, and they were fighting amongst each other, and then smallpox. There was like COVID-19 pandemic wiped out a large portion of the population. Smallpox existed in America at one time, and people were vaccinated, and people are still being vaccinated. And when the Spanish came, again, the Spanish under Pizarro, he brought the empire to an end. So for those who just joined the class, this is our first slide. And then this is our so this was our first slide. So if you want to know about the Inca, you type in Inca. The Inca civilization, and you'll read these three here. 1, 2. This one here, this one. Daily life, you can read this. So you can read all these here. These Inca architecture, daily life in the Inca road system, Inca government, and Inca civilization. What I'll do, I'll take you through 4 of the, well, separately we could do separate things on each one. And again, what are the terms? What are the terms? What are the terms in this book? this chapter. So in your book, you will read from pages 251 all the way to 270, 275. So what are the terms in your book? What are the terms? You have Mesoamerica, Kipu, So these are the terms in this chapter here, and I could choose any two. All right, so since the midterm, what have we done since the midterm? We did the Byzantine Empire. All right, we have covered the Byzantine Empire. And this is chapter 8. Then we did chapter 9, which is the Islamic world. Then we did chapter 10, which was